These disturbing highway encounters were shared by real people and remain unexplained to this day. I used to think highways were safer than city roads. Long stretches, clear lanes, fewer people, just you, the engine, and the white lines rushing under your headlights. I drove for a living back then, late-night deliveries between cities, so highways felt like home. Familiar, predictable. That belief died one night on Route 47. It was a Wednesday, just after midnight. I remember because the radio host was doing one of those midweek motivation segments, trying way too hard to sound cheerful for anyone still awake. I turned the volume down and focused on the road. The highway was almost empty. No exits for miles. Trees packed tightly on both sides, forming dark walls that swallowed the light beyond my beams. My GPS said I had 42 minutes left. Easy drive. That's when I noticed the headlights behind me. Far back at first, just two small dots hovering in my rearview mirror. I didn't think much of it. Cars appear, cars pass, cars disappear. That's how highways work. But after 10 minutes, the headlights were still there. Same distance, same position. Not gaining, not falling back. Just there. I sped up slightly, from 65 to 72. The headlights adjusted instantly, maintaining the exact same gap. I slowed down. Same thing. I laughed it off, telling myself it was just someone using cruise control. Still, something about it bothered me. On an empty highway at this hour, most drivers either fly past you or vanish into the dark. They don't pace you. Another 5 minutes passed. The radio began to crackle with static. Not unusual on this stretch, but the timing made my skin crawl. I switched it off. The silence felt heavier. I checked the mirror again. The headlights looked wrong. Not bright, not dim. Flat. Like someone had pasted the idea of headlights into the darkness. No visible car body, just two pale orbs floating at windshield height. I leaned forward, squinting. Still nothing else. That's when I realized something else. They weren't reflecting on the road. Every car's headlights bounce off the asphalt in some way, even faintly. These didn't. The road behind me stayed black, untouched. My stomach tightened. I told myself to relax. Fatigue messes with perception. I'd been driving too long. That's all. Then the headlights blinked. Not flickered, not dimmed. They shut off completely and turned back on a second later. I felt a sharp pulse of fear, the kind that comes without explanation. My hands gripped the wheel harder. I considered pulling over, but the idea of stopping on this empty highway suddenly felt worse than continuing. That's when I noticed there were no other cars at all. No oncoming traffic, no distant taillights ahead, just me and whatever was behind me. The speedometer crept up to 80 without me realizing it. The engine whined softly, protesting. Still, the headlights stayed exactly where they were. That was impossible. No car could maintain that distance so precisely, especially with speed changes. And yet there it was, patient, watching. A green highway sign appeared ahead. Rest area, 2 miles. Relief washed over me. Lights, people, normalcy. As I passed the sign, the headlights behind me surged closer for the first time. Not gradually, instantly. They were suddenly right on my bumper, flooding my rearview mirror with pale white glare. I gasped and swerved slightly, heart hammering. Then I heard it. Not an engine. Breathing. Low. Wet. Rhythmic. It wasn't coming from the radio. It wasn't coming from outside. It was inside the car, rising from behind me, like someone leaning forward from the back seat. I froze. My car didn't have a back seat passenger. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. Every instinct screamed that if I did, something irreversible would happen. The breathing grew louder, closer to my ear. "Don't stop," a voice whispered. It wasn't human. The words were stretched, mispronounced, like something imitating speech without understanding it. The tone wasn't threatening. It was pleading. My foot slammed the accelerator. The green highway sign came into view, bright, fluorescent, painfully normal. As I crossed into the entrance lane, the headlights behind me vanished. No slowing away, no turnoff. Just gone. The breathing stopped instantly. I pulled into the rest area parking lot and slammed the brakes. The car rocked to a halt. My hands shook so badly I could barely unbuckle my seatbelt. I jumped out, scanning the lot. Empty. A single vending machine hummed near the restroom building. No other cars, no people. I checked the back seat. Nothing. No one. I laughed nervously, running a hand through my hair. "You're losing it," I muttered. "Just tired." I stayed there for 15 minutes, pacing, drinking stale coffee from the machine, forcing my heart rate to slow. Eventually, I convinced myself to keep going. The delivery still had to be made. I got back on the highway. 10 minutes passed, then 20. The road felt different now. Heavier, like it was narrowing. Even though the lanes stayed the same, the trees seemed closer. Then in my rearview mirror, 2 pale headlights. Same distance, same height. My breath caught in my throat. "No," I whispered. This time I didn't experiment with speed. I didn't look too closely. I just drove. The headlights stayed with me for another 30 minutes, never passing, never falling back. Then the road curved sharply left. As I followed it, the headlights didn't. They continued straight into the trees. No crash, no sound, no breaking branches. They just moved forward and disappeared into the darkness beyond the road, like the forest had opened its mouth and swallowed them whole. I pulled over immediately, chest heaving, staring at the empty road behind me. Nothing came out of the trees. Nothing followed. I finished the drive without incident. I quit that job 2 weeks later. Here's the part that still keeps me awake. A month after that night, I looked up Route 47 online. Accident reports, forums, anything. I found a post from a trucker dated 8 years earlier. He described driving the same stretch of highway, late at night, being followed by headlights that never passed, and hearing something breathe from the back seat. He ended his post with one sentence: "If you ever see them turn into the trees, be grateful. That means they lost interest." If you're enjoying this story so far, take a moment to comment below, even just a word. It helps more than you think. And make sure you're subscribed because the next highway story gets much worse. I don't drive highways at night anymore, and whenever I see headlights pacing me too perfectly, I take the nearest exit. Immediately. I never believed in cursed roads. I believed in bad drivers, poor lighting, exhaustion, logical things. That's why I took the overnight haul through State Highway 9 without hesitation. It shaved 2 hours off my route, and I'd driven it before, though never this late. The signs warned me before I even entered it. No services, next 78 miles. I remember smirking at that. I had a full tank, snacks, and a thermos of coffee. What could possibly go wrong? The highway narrowed almost immediately. No divider, no streetlights. Just 2 lanes of cracked asphalt slicing through open land that looked more like shadow than landscape. My headlights barely reached the edges. Mile markers passed every few minutes. The radio cut out at 113. Not faded, not static. Gone. I tapped the screen. Nothing. Dead silence. That was when I noticed the car stopped on the shoulder ahead. Its hazard lights were on, blinking slowly. Orange flashes against the dark. The car itself was an older sedan, color hard to tell under the dirt and grime. A man stood beside it. He was facing away from me, hunched slightly, one hand on the open trunk. At first glance, nothing seemed unusual. Broken down car, bad luck. But something made me slow down. He wasn't moving, not shifting his weight, not adjusting his stance, completely still, like a mannequin posed beside the road. As I passed, he turned his head. Only his head, not his shoulders, not his body, just his head rotated to follow me. His face was pale, too pale. His eyes looked wrong, too wide, reflecting my headlights like glass beads. I sped up. In the mirror, I saw him take one step forward, Just one. Then the darkness swallowed him. My heart thudded hard, but I told myself not to overreact. People look strange at night. Headlights distort faces. Fear makes monsters out of shadows. Still, I checked the rearview mirror more often after that. Mile marker 113 passed, then 115, then 113 again. I frowned. That wasn't possible. I slowed, scanning the roadside for another marker. There it was, 113, identical, same bent pole, same reflective scratch on the number. A chill crawled up my spine. I drove on, telling myself I had misread the last one. Maybe I was tired, maybe my mind was playing tricks. The road stretched ahead, straight and empty. Then I saw headlights, oncoming traffic. Relief washed through me until I realized the headlights weren't getting closer. They were stationary, parked directly in the middle of the road. I slowed to a stop a good distance away. My high beams illuminated the vehicle. It was the same sedan, same dents, same grime. The trunk was open, but this time, the man was standing in front of it, facing me. He raised one hand, not in a wave, more like a signal. Come closer. Nope, I muttered, shifting into reverse. The moment my brake lights came on, his arm dropped, and he started walking towards me. Not fast, not slow. Wrong. His steps were uneven, jerky, like each movement required conscious effort. His legs bent strangely, almost too much at the knees. I floored the gas in reverse, heart pounding. The road behind me was empty, until it wasn't. Another car appeared, same sedan, blocking my retreat. My chest tightened, my breath came in shallow gasps. I was trapped. The man stopped walking. He tilted his head, studying me. Then his mouth opened. It opened far too wide, wider than any human jaw should allow, and he screamed. The sound cut through the car, through the glass, straight into my skull. It wasn't loud in a normal way. It vibrated like pressure, like the road itself was screaming. I covered my ears, but it didn't help. Then, just as suddenly, the sound stopped. The headlights went out. The road was empty again. No sedan, no man, no screams. Just me, alone inside, idling in the middle of the highway. I sat there for a long time, shaking. Finally, I drove forward. Mile marker 113 passed, then 115, then 113 again. I didn't slow down again. After another 20 minutes, I saw lights in the distance, actual civilization, a gas station just off an exit. I pulled in, nearly sobbing with relief. The clerk was an older man with tired eyes. I probably looked half dead when I walked in. "You okay?" he asked. "Did you see a sedan pass through here? Older model, hazard lights?" He stared at me for a moment, then shook his head. "You drove through 9, he said quietly. I nodded. He sighed. "People still do that at night." "What happened out there?" I asked. He hesitated, then leaned closer. "They say if you stop near mile marker 113, it learns you, learns how to stand, learns how to look, how to ask for help." My blood ran cold. "What is it?" I whispered. He straightened up. "Best advice? Don't count the mile markers and never turn around." I didn't sleep that night, or the next. Months later, curiosity got the better of me. I searched for Highway 9 online. Buried deep in a local forum, I found old posts, disappearances, unexplained accidents, drivers found miles off the road, cars untouched, doors open. Many mentioned the same thing: a broken down sedan, a man who didn't move right, mile marker 113. The highway was eventually rerouted, the old stretch closed for safety reasons, but locals say the markers are still there, waiting. If you ever drive a road with a number stop making sense, don't slow down, don't stop, and whatever you do, don't let it learn you. I wasn't supposed to be on that road.
That's the only reason I'm still alive. I was driving home from a friend's wedding, 3 hours away, deep into the countryside. It was close to 1:30 a.m., and I'd already passed the point where coffee stopped working. My eyes burned, my head felt heavy. But the highway was familiar, and I'd driven it dozens of times before, until the detour appeared. The sign was temporary, orange, reflective, slightly crooked. Road closed ahead, follow detour. I slowed down, annoyed. My GPS hadn't mentioned any closure, but construction signs don't always update. I followed the arrow off the highway onto a narrower road that immediately felt wrong. The pavement changed, older, cracked. My headlights swallowed the road instead of illuminating it. Trees crowded in from both sides, tall and thin, their branches knitting together overhead like ribs. No houses, no lights, no sound except my tires. After 5 minutes, my GPS recalculated, then froze. The screen went black. I tapped it. Nothing. That was when I realized something unsettling. There were no road signs anymore. No speed limits, no mile markers, no reflectors, just road. I told myself it was a temporary service dead zone. Rural areas have them. Still, I rolled down my window slightly, hoping the cold air would keep me alert. That's when I smelled it. Something metallic, old, like rust mixed with wet soil. I drove another mile and saw a car ahead of me. Its hazard lights were on. Relief washed over me so hard I almost laughed. Another human being, proof this road actually went somewhere. I followed at a safe distance. The car was moving slowly, too slowly, maybe 30 miles an hour. I considered passing but hesitated. The road felt too narrow, too blind. Then the car braked suddenly. I slammed my brakes, heart jumping. It stopped, right in the middle of the road. I waited a few seconds, no movement. I flashed my headlights. Nothing. I rolled my window down further. "Hey!" I called out. The driver's door opened. A woman stepped out. She looked normal at first, mid-30s maybe, long dark hair, pale jacket. She stood beside the car, facing away from me. "You okay?" I called. She didn't answer. She didn't move. Something about her posture made my stomach twist. Her shoulders were too stiff, her head angled slightly downward, like she was listening to something I couldn't hear. "I can call roadside assistance," I said, though my phone still had no signal. Slowly, she turned around. Her face was incomplete. That's the only word that fits. She had eyes, a nose, a mouth, but they looked unfinished, like a rough draft of a face. Her features were slightly misaligned, her skin stretched too tight, like it didn't belong to her. She smiled, too wide, too deliberate. "Can you follow me?" she asked. Her voice lagged behind her mouth like bad audio sync. "Just for a bit." Every instinct screamed no. I'm actually in a hurry, but there's a gas station back the way I came." Her smile twitched. "That road is closed. This is the only way." She stepped closer to my car. The smell got stronger, metallic, rotting. I locked my doors. "I can't," I said firmly. "Sorry." Her head tilted. Then she did something that made my blood run cold. She looked past me, not at me, past me, at my back seat. Her smile faded. "You're not alone," she said softly. My heart stopped. Before I could respond, she stepped back into her car, closed the door, and drove forward now, faster. Against my better judgment, I followed. The road bent and twisted, leading deeper into the trees. My high beams barely cut through the darkness. The woman's taillights bobbed ahead of me like lures. After 10 minutes, I noticed something impossible. We passed the same fallen tree twice. Same shape, same broken branches. We were looping. I slowed down. Her car didn't. It pulled farther ahead until the taillights vanished around a curve. I didn't follow. I stopped the car completely. The silence pressed in, thick
and heavy. Even the insects were quiet. Then I heard it. Footsteps. Behind me. Slow, careful, crunching leaves. I stared at the rearview mirror. Nothing. The footsteps stopped. A knock knocked on my window. Once, twice, 3 times. I didn't turn my head. "Why didn't you follow?" a voice asked. Not the woman's. This one was deeper, rougher, closer. "I don't feel safe," I said. There was a pause, then laughter. Not loud, not mocking, disappointed. "That's unfortunate. You were doing so well." Something brushed against my back seat. The fabric depressed slightly, as if someone had sat down. I screamed and hit the gas. The car lurched forward, tires screaming. Branches scraped against the sides as I tore down the road, not caring where it led. The road suddenly widened. Lights appeared ahead. Real lights. I burst out onto the highway so fast I nearly lost control. I didn't stop until I reached the next town. I spent the night in my car, parked under a streetlight, shaking. The next morning, I checked my dashcam footage. The file corrupted right when I turned onto the detour, except for one frame. Just one. It showed my car from the outside, stopped, with the back door open, and something tall, blurred, and wrong leaning inside. I reported the detour sign. Authorities told me there was no closure that night, no construction, no detour. A local officer pulled me aside before I left. "You're lucky," he said quietly. "Most people follow." I asked, "Follow what?" He hesitated. "The road that wants company." I take the long way home now, always. And if I ever see a detour sign late at night, I keep driving, no matter what.